Hey, how you guys doing today? Welcome to the 4E Fitness Show. I am excited. It's been a couple weeks since I've seen you, so I'm excited to see you again, and we have an incredible show today. And just to remind you again, you know, it's important that we really understand things that are foundational in nature. The 4 parts of the 4E philosophy, just to remind you, are the spiritual part, the emotional part, the intellectual part, and the physical part. And I really want you to understand that we need to give attention daily to all of those areas to accomplish and be in the state of something we call wellness. I just want you to imagine this big circle out here we have. The big circle. This circle is representative of who we are as a person. And in the center of that word wellness, we need to be in the state of wellness as best we can, which is defined as a state of not being an illness. If we're ill, we're not well, and if we're well, we're not ill. But around this big circle, there is these 4 parts that we need to deal with each day and spend time, deliberate, intentional actions on them every day. At the top, the most important one is spiritual. All of us desire to grow spiritually, to be more like Christ every single day. That's what I desire to do. In all of my actions and all of my thoughts and all of everything I do, I want to be more like Him and glorify His name every single day. And on one side, we have this thing called intellectual. We need to focus our minds on the things of Christ. Focus on the Scriptures. Study the Scriptures. Work our minds with the things of God. And we also have the emotional on this side of the big circle. Our emotions need to be in check so we don't fly off the handle, we don't go crazy. Our emotions are in check every single day. At the bottom, we have this thing called physical. And many times, it's the thing that we leave out first. I put it at the bottom because everything kind of sits on that. If we're inactive, typically we get in a state of obesity or sedentary actions. We become depressed. Maybe the weight gain comes up. As our depression starts, it begins to affect our emotional piece. If our emotions are out of whack, we typically, in the intellectual side, are not able to learn anything anymore. Friends, how are we supposed to grow spiritually if everything's out of whack? I like to draw another analogy because Jesus spoke in parables many times so that we can really understand. And I want you to understand that in parables, and a practical example of what this means, is that I want you to imagine a big tire, okay? Now, we've all seen tires as we're driving down the highway, these big tires that have maybe off of a truck tire have been shredded. Think about what happened before that tire literally spun out of control and disintegrated and got destroyed. There was something on the inside of that tire that became amiss or went awry. Something was wrong on the inside. For example, back to this big circle of our life. If we're not spending time in the spiritual realms, the intellectual side, the emotional piece, and the physical piece every single day, it's like that tire. Something's going wrong on one of those pieces. Yeah, it still began to roll down the highway. Nobody knew what was going on the inside. But there was something on the inside of that tire that wasn't right. And I will tell you, life's fast. Life is tough. It's a fast-paced life these days, and it seems to be getting faster. Technology and life is moving many times much faster than we can actually comprehend or keep up with. And that tire, our lives are rolling down the road over and over, faster and faster, with nothing apparently wrong. We haven't stopped to tend to the weakness in that tire. And I have seen many times people become emotionally, intellectually, even spiritually bankrupt because they're not spending time. They begin to disintegrate as a person. Just like those tires we see on the side of the road. I want those tires to be representative of what our lives could be like if we don't take care of ourselves. I want to direct you to a scripture today in the Bible. It's found in the book of Romans, and I want you to read this with me. It's Romans 12, verse 1. You know, Paul is talking to some people, and he's trying to encourage them with some practical things they can do to be more like Christ. He begins by saying this, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship." The interpretation of that word spiritual there is reasonable. So let's just say this is your reasonable act of worship. Now, we're all reasonable people, I like to think. We're pretty intelligent these days. We're pretty smart. I know sometimes my children, they seem so smart, I can't believe it. They go over things in school these days, in maybe middle school, that I went over when I was in college. People are getting smarter and more reasonable, I hope. So backing up, Paul is saying through the inspiration of God that we are to offer our bodies. That's talking about our physical bodies. We're back to that physical piece at the bottom of that circle. We're to offer our bodies as living sacrifices. The word sacrifice is really interesting because back in the Old Testament, the people would bring sacrifices to the altar to make atonement for their sin, to show obedience to God. And guess what? The sacrifices they brought to the altar were the first and the best. They were without blemish, without defect. They weren't the least and the last. They were the first and the best. The first of the crop, the first of the livestock. That's what God expects. He expects to bring us to bring our best to Him each day. He wants our best. But He didn't say, bring a dead sacrifice and throw it on the altar, did He? He said to present ourselves as living sacrifices. Imagine, if you will, this table being an altar. What Paul is saying is we're supposed to climb up on that altar willingly and present ourselves as living sacrifices. Back to the principles of sacrifice. Does that mean we present ourselves as less than the best? Present ourselves as sickly, lame, beat up? No. God expects us to climb up there willingly. If we're sick, I'll submit to you this. How are we going to climb up on the altar in the first place? If we don't take care of ourselves, how are we going to have any energy to go climb on the altar? That's an action we're supposed to do. That's an activity we're supposed to do. Climb and present ourselves on that altar as a living sacrifice. And I want you to know, as a living sacrifice, we have the opportunity to hop back off that altar anytime we want, don't we? He didn't say go on that altar and tie yourself down. He said willingly present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Friends, the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit of God. If we don't keep it clean, who will? We don't need to neglect our bodies. We are the arms and the legs of Christ. We're the mouthpiece of Christ on this earth. The only Jesus people may see sometimes is us, what we do, how we take care of ourselves, how we present ourselves. When you walk in a room, people see you. You have the essence of Christ. We're supposed to be good reflections of Him. We're supposed to climb on that altar and present ourselves as a living sacrifice. That's some responsibility we have. We're supposed to take care of ourselves and present ourselves as the best. If we're supposed to be our best, shouldn't we give effort to that physical self? Shouldn't we give energy and intentional effort to that physical self on a daily basis? Isn't God saying we're supposed to present ourselves in a good form, much like they did in the Old Testament with their best livestock, their best crop? Now we're supposed to present ourselves as the best. Friends, we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, and physically. In that circle, that thing we call ourselves, because that puts us in a state of wellness. We need to do everything within our power to present ourselves as a living, healthy, good, pleasing sacrifice to God each day. He says to present and offer our bodies as living sacrifices. Then He also says, holy and pleasing to God. Holy is set apart. Set yourself apart. Set time apart. Many times I've said we have 1,440 seconds a day. or 440 minutes a day. Do you know that? That's interesting to think about. 1,440 minutes. How many of those minutes do we devote to the 4 areas of who we are, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, physically? It is our responsibility to present our total self, the total package, if you will. I desire every single day, with God's help, and I'm not perfect, I have to work at it too, every single day to give everything that I've got to present myself as a living sacrifice to God, to be used by Him every single day, to be the best I can be every day. Now, I'm going to give you right now a couple of physical wellness tips of the day. We're going to watch a couple of clips. This first clip, I want you to pay close attention because it's something we can do, practically speaking, every day to help us present ourselves as a healthy, living sacrifice. Watch this clip right now. During the course of a day, we know at home we've got to do cooking, cleaning, those normal daily chores. So we're going to introduce right now what's called counter push-ups. And you can see the hands are placed about shoulder width against the counter, and the feet are placed on the floor at an angle backwards, and using our body weight leaning forward into the counter in a push-up manner, we're actually working the chest muscles, the shoulder muscles, and the tricep muscles while you're doing this. And you would think that is not much resistance, but in actuality it is. The farther you lean your feet back and increase the angle, the more resistance that you're placing on that particular movement. Now, you can also see in just a second, by moving your hands closer together, more in a close grip push-up position, we're actually still working the chest muscles or the pectoralis muscles, but we're also putting more emphasis on the triceps. And again, to increase the resistance on this, you would move your feet backwards a little bit and flatten out the angle. Okay, now something we can all do at the house during the course of a normal day is something called a lunge. In this movement, we're going to be working our gluteus muscles, or our butt, and our hamstrings and our quads. And you can see the person is just stepping forward and stepping back while switching and alternating legs. This is called a simple lunge. If you can't go all the way down to the ground on this with your back knee, don't worry about it. We're just talking about very, very simple, short movements, and we're talking about activity, things you can do around your house during the normal course of a day. As you can see in the clip, and those things are actually on our website, you can go there and download those things and view those. There's others on there as well. And we'll be putting up more anywhere activities, I like to call them, on the website. So I want you to check that out. And those are also on our basic DVD exercise or activity set that I'll tell you about in just a moment. But as you can see in that, the person is just at their kitchen. They're cooking. You know, we could just sit there and cook all day and deal with the pots, the pans, and the spoons and all that. But there's a counter there. The person did something called a counter push-up. And if you notice carefully, there was 2 different things that were pointed out there if you watched. Number one is when the hands were wide and they were lowering the body, that actually, every time we push ourselves away, we're working the front upper half of our body directly. We're working the front of our shoulders and our triceps indirectly. So we actually work 3 muscle groups from a dynamic movement just with the counter. By putting our hands shoulder width apart, as you can see mine right here, just a little wider than shoulder, we're actually going to lower our bodies down as low as we can. Sometimes you don't want to go way down, but certainly you don't want to go down past where the lower arm is past the 90-degree angle. See, I'm at a 90-degree angle approximately right here, okay? We don't want to go down farther than that because that hyperextends the shoulder. So when we're doing the counter push-ups, we're going to lower down and actually make a field goal. It's football season now, I understand that. So we're going to make a field goal with our arms. So we're going to lower ourselves down to the counter and push ourselves back up. You can vary the tempo or the time it takes to lower down and push back up if you want to change the variety. But this is something we can do. We can cook a little bit, do a few counter push-ups. If we move our feet back, as you saw on the video, that increases the resistance because more of our body weight is being pushed down into the counter. Now, many times, especially women I see, well, I want to get rid of the jiggle. I want to get rid of this little thing that hangs right here. That's really easy to do when you think about the counter push-ups, because all that you saw in the screen is the person that moved their hands in. The farther we move our hands in, the more tension we're putting on that tricep muscle. So as you can see, she moved her hands in and she lowered herself down, still trying to not go past the 90 degrees. More tension was put on the tricep as she extended going upwards. This is important to do because every single day we want to work both of the muscle groups from the outside to the inside. Now, you always want to start out with the major muscle groups first, working the majority of the upper body front, and then slowly moving to the more smaller muscles such as the triceps directly. But there were two things that were pointed out in the kitchen that were easy to do, and there's more that you can do in the kitchen. There's more on that video that you can pull up on our website as well, even using like soup cans to curl and to work our shoulders. There's things you can do every single day within the context and the confines of your own home that provide activity for you. It's about movement. It's just about movement. Now, the second movement you saw was the lunge. Now, some people say, well, I've got knee trouble, I can't bend. Here's the answer to that. Just get next to a couch or a sturdy table. Don't get a chair that's going to lean over with you, but put your hand on there and just lower down. As you can see right now, let's pretend that I had knee trouble, okay, and I couldn't move too much. So I'm going to spread my feet a little bit, and I'm in dress pants here, and let's say I can only have limited amount of movement. I'm going to put my arm on a couch, and I'm going to lower down. I've got this hand on the couch and this hand on my thigh, and I'm just getting some movement. I'm just getting some movement. And I can do this every single day in the context of my own home. Now, she was even doing that while she was folding a towel, as you see. As you improve your flexibility and your balance, you can move away from these modifications by having to grab something. This is important to understand. We need to keep moving all the time. There's things we do around our house. You know, walking is important. Always find the farthest place to go to walk. You know what? This next clip you're going to see, we're going to show it. It's from one of the activity DVDs that we have, and it's going to talk about two very important things to do every single day. So watch this clip now.
We're going to walk for a minute because there's a lot of blood flow in your legs right now. It's a good time that you hopefully have some water handy. Get a drink of water. It's good to always keep a bottle of water handy, even as you're kind of cooling down right here. Take a sip. Just begin to breathe. Just relax. Let your heart rate settle down a little bit. You know, good rule of thumb on the water, as I talked about in the intermediate, the basic as well, is to always take, just a good rule of thumb, your body weight, cut it in half, whatever that number is, try to drink that many ounces of water every single day. All right, that's a good place to start. I try to drink about a gallon a day most of the time. Good trick, too, is to fill up a bottle of water, put it in your desk or in your car, wherever your office may be, and just make sure by the end of the day that that water bottle is empty. Now, you say, well, that's too much water. Guess what? Your body is mostly water. Just makes sense if your body's mostly water to fill it back up again. You know, we drink water. That's what I drink most of the time, actually. And guess what? The more water you drink, the more water your body will begin to crave, all right? So it's a good habit to do. Keep yourself hydrated.
You know, that brings back memories as I watched that clip, is being out of breath. But you know, the only reason I got out of breath is because I was walking. You know, the Heart Association will tell you the best form of exercise is to walk. Can I tell you something? Your legs are made for walking, and your arms are made for swinging and moving. They're not just made to be hanging on a couch or sitting on a chair and just laying there. They're meant to move. The best thing you can do for exercise, if you're wondering where to start, just begin to walk. Begin to walk. If you have 2 bathrooms in your home, walk to the farthest ones. If you have multiple bathrooms in the area where you work, in your workplace, walk to the farthest one. If you have steps that you don't have to walk, I'm not talking 30 floors of the Empire State Building or something like that, but if you have a couple flights of stairs you can walk up rather than ride the elevator, the escalator, please walk. Walking is the best form of exercise. We teach this over and over in a progressive manner through our DVD activity system. It's a progressive walking / running program. So walking is important every single day. I always go back to that foundational truth. Begin to walk. Sometimes walking just makes you feel better. You know, I used to get out and just walk sometimes just to kind of think a little bit. The second thing that was mentioned in that is water intake. We don't drink enough water these days. A great rule of thumb, just to repeat what it says, because I really want you to get in there in your heart, is cut your body weight, divide your body weight by 2. Now, once you have that answer, go ahead and do that right now. Divide your body weight by 2. You can probably do it in your head, simple math. And then drink at least that many ounces of water every single day. I don't care what else you drink. Hopefully, over time, your body will begin to get what it needs in the water, and it'll begin to want more water. So drink that many ounces of water at least per day. Good tip for that is fill up a bottle of water, or get a bottle of water and put it on your desk or your home environment, a place you frequent. And by the end of the day, have either that bottle empty or whatever it takes to get to the number of ounces you need to consume at the end of the day. Make sure that's empty at the end of every single day. Now, it's very, very important to drink that many ounces of water each day because we need to stay hydrated. The body is, the majority of the body is made up of water. So it's important that we drink water every single day. Now, as we talk about these physical wellness tips today, there's some tools that we have available for you on our website that I really want you to get. And I brought them with me today. I want to kind of come over here and kind of tell you about those really quick. These tools that we have here are made for you to put to use. Now, we've got an activity system here that is extremely progressive in nature. There's a series of 3 DVDs. This first one, I'll talk about this, it's for everybody. It's designed specifically for people to go from the state of inactivity to a state of activity. There are 14 exercise sessions or activity sessions, as I like to call them. That word kind of working out kind of freaks people out. But let's just call them activity sessions. 14 over 4 weeks. Now, that doesn't say every day. That means you can miss a day, which is a good thing. Because many times people get into a program of sorts, and if it's every day, they miss a day, they feel bad. They try to make up for it. They miss another day. They're too sore. They don't want to go back. Before long, they're into the week, and they throw their hands up and say, what's the use? This is designed to answer the question of where do I start? This is a great place to start. This is for anyone. It's super easy. If you can walk, you can do this. Then we progress up to the intermediate. This is a step up from the basic, but it's progressive in nature. On each of these activity programs, there is a walking program that is specifically set out to help you develop in the cardiovascular or cardiorespiratory realms. These programs are designed not only to treat you in the cardiovascular area, but to also train you with the flexibility and the strength areas. So this is the intermediate, it's a step up. Again, 14 exercise sessions over a 4-week period. This one, once you complete the basic, move to this. You can do this for either one time through or a second time through. And only if you finish this 2 times and are confident do I ever want you to experience this. This is the advanced. It's very, very difficult and challenging. It will stretch you. It will challenge you. It will help you be pushed to the next level. Now, once you've completed this, you are fully exercising. This is where I want you to get. This is where everybody can get one day by doing it in a progressive way. We also have, I know your stomachs are probably growling right now, aren't they? It's probably about lunchtime, but I have the answer to that too. I have these meal replacement bars. These things are incredible. They come in 2 flavors. They're available on the website, once again, in vanilla and chocolate, and they are great. Everybody that's tried these things have said to me, I've got no bad reports. They've said this is the best meal replacement bar and really affordable that I've ever came across. They are chock full of omega-3 fatty acids, which are actually incredibly important for our heart health and our brain health, as well as 6 grams of fiber in each bar. They only have 1 gram of sugar. We get too much sugar these days, folks. It's time to cut that down. This is a great way to do that with meal replacement bars. We also have a natural metabolic enhancer, or as I like to say, a fat burner. It will help you utilize your calories better in a more efficient way to convert those things into energy in a faster way. Take 2 of these things in the morning before your first meal and 2 of them before your second meal. This only costs $1 a day. $1 a day is worth. It's a great investment for that physical piece of your health. So check out on our website. And my favorite, we have a protein meal replacement shake in 2 flavors, chocolate and vanilla. Get on there and check that out. This is organic, source, whey isolate. This is incredibly healthy. It's important to have. When you're wondering, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat it? Where's a healthy meal? Mix 1 scoop of this in about 12 or 16 ounces of either skim or 1% milk. Stir it up. It mixes very, very well. And you will have one of the most incredible meals you've ever had that's very, very healthy. It is chock full of vitamins and minerals as well. So I want you to check this out. Get on our website. Utilize these tools because we're trying to eliminate the excuses and give people real answers to a real problem to answer that physical piece. Remember our circle? We want to be well. So check this out on the website. And I also want to bring up something to you right now. This is a card that is symbolic. We give this out when I go to meetings and do preaching and speaking events and also seminars in corporations and in churches. But this is called the 4E Challenge. And what this card says simply is, with God's help, I accept the 4E Challenge of giving daily attention to all 4 parts of my person: spiritual, intellectual, emotional, and physical. You get on the website and click on the highlighted thing that says 4E Challenge. You can enter your information there, and your name will be put on our 4E Challenge. While we desire to have millions of people all around this world that have said, with God's help, I'm going to give attention daily to all 4 parts of who I am. So I challenge you, this is my challenge, to take the 4E Challenge. Get on there and take it on the website, www.foreverfitlife.com. So get on there and take the 4E Challenge. Friends, just to remind you, we are working on presenting our bodies as living sacrifices. And I want to encourage you today to believe in yourself that you can do this. With God's help, you can do anything. You know, He says in His Word, with man it's impossible. He's talking about salvation, but with God all things are possible. If God can save us from our sin, don't you think He can help us with this physical piece of who we are? God wants us to be fit. He wants us to be well. He wants us to be well enough to present ourselves as a living sacrifice. It's healthy, vibrant, the best. You can do this with God's help. You know what? God birthed this ministry in us to provide real answers to this problem. And it has been a problem. We don't need to neglect the physical piece: spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical. We don't need to be like those tires that have disintegrated that we see on the side of the road. Friends, we need to roll through life with speed. We need to finish this race on a sprint, not a limp. God wants us to be well. Go today, be well, be fit. I love you guys.